It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler. It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler.
Hey guys, Tyler here. There is no shadow of a doubt that for this year's election, I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump instead of Kamala Harris. And although I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump, I feel as though that it's worth saying that I don't necessarily have to agree with every single thing with Donald Trump in order to vote for Donald Trump. There might be some policies that I may agree or disagree upon. There are some things that he say out loud that I might agree or disagree with. The truth of the matter is that somebody like Donald Trump and my own personal political ideas are so incredibly complex, so it's not necessarily the best kind of expectations to actually expect to actually agree with somebody 100% of the time. And so for this video, we're going to respond to a recent interview that he actually has done. And so without further hesitation, let us begin.
It is what it is. I mean, if you're religious, you have, I think, a better feeling toward it. You're supposed to go to heaven, ideally not hell, but you're supposed to go to heaven if you're good. I think our country's missing a lot of religion. I think it really was a much better place with religion. It was almost a guide, to a certain extent it was a guide. You want to be good to people. Without religion, there are no guardrails. I'd love to see us get back to religion, more religion in this country.
When I was watching that interview for the first time, it seemed as though that when Donald Trump was using the word religion, he's actually referring to Christianity. And so here's the syllogism that he said within the interview. Number one, that Christianity has been a net positive of society. Premise two, without Christianity, it's actually going to be filled by the void of far left ideas. Therefore, it's actually best and beneficial if you use Christianity within society itself. When it comes down to the issue of both religion and culture, there is no denying that the two are almost always interconnected. How so? Although somebody might be entirely non-religious, there might be ideas or philosophies that might have been inspired by the religion to inspire that person to think a certain way or behave a certain way based upon those particular cultural aspects. For example, the ideas of liberalism, the ideas of empiricism, those ideas that we take for granted comes directly from a guy named John Locke. And all those people might be non-religious and don't necessarily buy into the metaphysical claims of Christianity, they still appreciate stuff like, imperialism or the ideas of liberalism and political philosophy on a day-to-day basis, or something as simple as the calendar. All the Georgian calendars that we actually use every single day is largely influenced directly by the religion of the surrounding culture as well. Also, the hospitals that we basically use, the universities that we actually go to. And so political side, as well as other aspects of society, can in fact be directly influenced by religion itself. And because culture and religion are directly influencing each other, that means some aspects of wokeism is also directly influenced by Christianity. How so? Let's take, for example, the idea of original sin. Now, there's no denying that there are plenty of articles out there that talks about how America has original sin when it comes down to slavery. Yet, at the same time, we do in fact know that the ideas of original sin comes directly from St. Augustine himself. Another aspect that's not necessarily popular nowadays on the internet, but was actually really popular back in the days, is the issue of social justice. And we know that social justice as a concept itself comes directly from Christianity. So here's my own personal syllogism, what I'm trying to say. Number one, culture is largely dependent upon the local religion. They're both interchangeable. Premise two, Christianity has inspired ideas within the culture. Premise three, ideas like original sin, like social justice is really huge within the predominant Christian culture. Therefore, the actions that the activists are doing are a direct result of Christianity and the ideas with it. So the best way to fight the far left ideas is to actually use even more Christian ideas. The second major objection that I actually have is the fact that he states that there is no sort of moral framework that someone can actually judge without some sort of religious guide that they actually have. Now, again, there are plenty of secular moral frameworks that we actually consider for the issue of philosophy itself. For example, one major moral framework that many people go to is something that is known as consequentialism. That is to say that people actually consider what could be the good maximum outcome of somebody and what is like the worst possible outcome. And so based upon that particular framework, people can actually make moral judgments on the issue of consequentialism. It also seems to suggest that humans ourselves are not necessarily evolutionarily evolved to have these kind of moral systems, but that's far from the truth. Because let's take, for example, wild animals. Like, there's a whole entire, you can say, pack of lions or dogs or wildcats, you name it. What if they were not trying to survive? Like, what kind of benefit would it actually have for the whole entire species, the whole entire collection of wildcats or bears or whatever? Like, if they were not trying to survive for their own personal benefit. Because if they were to go out and just kill each other, there would not be no more survival for everybody else. And so they actually need a system, a cooperation to continue on to reproduce for the whole entire species. Similarly, humans also work on a system, on a cooperation every single day. If we did not necessarily help each other produce mass food or build roads or do other kind of aspects of society, how can we actually be very successful if it was not necessarily ingrained within us evolutionary? And so if we cannot necessarily help each other out, there's no sort of net benefit if we were not to help each other out. So I would say that even before, religion itself was actually formulated, that humans themselves needed a system of cooperation before they started to create these religions that we know today. I find it very interesting that Trump mentioned heaven and hell. And the main reason why I would say that is largely what kind of benefit does humanity actually get from believing such ideas are just so horrendous. Again, it goes back to the ideas of St. Augustine for his book that was called The City of God. Now, there is no sort of psychological benefits whatsoever if we actually continue to believe this. Here's why. Number one, it causes unnecessary nightmares. Kids, adults suffer mentally, and for the case when kids grow into adults, they suffer directly from PTSD. They have to get some sort of medications, they have to go to therapy because of this sort of belief in hellfire. Number two is also destructive when it comes down to personal relationships, be it your friends or your family, etc., etc. It's like a form of tribalism. And basically, when kids learn that, the non-Christians, they're not necessarily going to go to heaven, they're going to burn, how incredibly torturing do you have to be to teach a kid that this kind of idea is actually real. So psychologically, there is no type of benefit whatsoever from believing that. And also, there's no direct biblical evidence that it actually is supported within the text itself by most biblical scholars that we actually know in this particular topic. So anyway, what do you guys think about my response to Donald Trump? Tell me in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.